Good morning. Coffee with Cody here. Welcome back, family and friends, for another edition of my educational journey. Today we're talking about my sophomore year. Uh, Hope you've enjoyed everything so far. Again, I hope that you have moved over from the other platforms, that you are subscribed, have clicked the notification bell. Don't forget those likes, okay? Those thumbs up. Those help too. If I'm going to make this any kind of a monetary aspect, not my intention, but if it happens, it happens. And then, of course, any kind of comments that you might have on what I've talked about in the past, what I'm talking about with this particular episode, and something that you might want to be of interest in the future. So, with the sophomore class, remembering some of the classes that I took, the math class, one of my favorites, really, one of my favorite teachers. Sophomore math was basically geometry, and it was with Tom Green, Mike Green's older brother, and certainly someone that I respected and admired, worked for. I remember picking beans and branding and oh Lord, branding. I remember one time they never branded until August, so needless to say, those cows were pretty good size. Well, one time I grabbed this calf and it got away, and I jumped up to grab it around the neck, and it raised its head back and caught me right under the chin, and I saw stars for quite a while. And then we also had the journey of picking beans. They had a little, maybe a 40-acre patch of beans on the river bottom, along with the cattle down there. And then, of course, they had a little place on the north, up on the highway. I would have been on the Volt Road, on the, what did they call that place up there? It'll come to me eventually. But anyway, Tom Green was my sophomore math teacher. For English, I had Agatha Dwyer, Mrs. Dwyer. She was a relic there. I can tell you stories about her. She called me by my dad's name. So if my dad graduated in 49, and this is 1970, it would have been, the fall of 1970, that tells you how many years she was a teacher in Wolf Point. I remember getting in trouble one time with her. I don't know how or why, but anyway, in her English room, it was separated by the room next to her with pane glass, and inside that room would have been your Fang photos and extra textbooks for the English department, as she was the English head. And then I got stuck in that room. She sent me off to the next room, keeping an eye on me, of course, through those pane glass windows. Well, I got in that room and I started going through boxes of photos, just kind of checking things out, and didn't have my head up and didn't notice that her coming to the door. She opens it up, wanted to know what I was doing, what I thought I was doing. I was just to sit in there quietly with nothing to do. So that was my encounter and memorable moment with Agatha Dwyer. Science, we had biology with Carson Harstead, another gentleman that had been there a while. He was actually the National Honor Society sponsor. He was the teacher that had the club or the organization, and we butted heads. Karsten was, well, one of the driest teachers I ever had. He thought himself pretty funny. I remember a couple of jokes that he would tell and laugh at himself, and hopefully other members of the classmates would laugh with him, but it certainly wasn't us. Myself and Mike Green. One of the jokes that he would tell is he would ask you, "What do baby ghosts drink?" And nobody would know, and then he would say, "Evaporated milk." Ha 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 ha. Well, another one wanted to know what teapots sing. And his favorite line for that one was "Home on the Range." So with those two, we would fake a laugh. I remember, and Mike and I would fall out of our chairs, and of course we got reprimanded and got in trouble. But of all of the grades that I got in high school, those were the lowest that I received. It probably prevented me from being on the National Honor Society because I was not one of his favorite students. But anyway, I got D's in biology. Certainly moving on into Spanish, we had the second year of Spanish with Mrs. Anderson. A little better going. Actually, kind of got into it. I really enjoyed Spanish in the aspect that it went along with English and grammar and the conjugation of verbs and that sort of thing. I always found that interesting and I enjoyed it a lot. PE, in my PE year for sophomore, we had John Black had moved on to Great Falls, and we ended up with Gene Nelson, who came over from Nashua. He had gotten a first teaching job over in Nashua and had been teaching there for a little while. But he came back to Wolf Point, which was his alma mater. Gene was quite the basketball star. He was on several championship teams under the direction of Bob Lowry in the early 60s. I believe Gene graduated in 61 or 62. I don't remember the specific year. But I do know that he played on at least two state championship Class B basketball teams. And then for the first semester of that year, Henry Hamill, who was also a Wolf Point alum, he had been going to school on a football scholarship and was becoming a teacher at Northern Montana College in Havre. And he did his student teaching in PE. I think he was going to be a social studies and PE major. And so he was part of our crew for PE that first semester. He also assisted in football. He himself was a good football player in high school, quite a standout, and then earned a scholarship to Northern Montana College. A couple of memories from that. Well, one actually. He butted heads with a kid by the name of Jerry Miller. And I remember one time he took Jerry into the varsity part of the locker room, which was opposite the PE area where we dressed and got ready for PE class. Well, Jerry and him took a little journey into the varsity locker room, and all of a sudden you heard this thud, thud, thud against the wall. Well, I guess he was getting Jerry's attention. We were pretty stiff and quiet. We weren't going to get ourselves in trouble, and so that was one of the memories that I had from that particular time frame. Let's see. We gave you math, science, PE. I don't remember other sophomore classes. Oh yeah, speech. We ended up having to take speech. That was one of the requirements for graduation for Wolf Point High School. And so we ended up with a speech teacher by the name of Alberta Tong. You remember Mrs. Tong from the Catholic school? Well, that was the very same one. She taught speech class to us. there were several of us in speech class. The classmates that most of us were sophomores, but a few were juniors and seniors for various reasons, whether it was that they got sick or were retaking the class or for whatever reason. But we did have a few of them. One of the funniest memories that I'll share with you. There was a kid. He didn't graduate with us, but he was there for, I think, our freshman and sophomore year, by the name of Dennis Carnes. one of the funniest speeches that I've ever heard. We were given narrative speeches, speeches that told a story. Well, Dennis gave this speech about winning an award for the bull shippers. Oh Lord, that we laughed and laughed about that one. Every time we got together for class reunions, we would bring up Dennis Carnes as a memory. So anyway, sophomore year, you're kind of getting adapted. You know where you're going around the school. Much better times. I don't want to forget about intramurals. Intramurals was a big part. Those were sports activities after school in the evenings. I don't remember what specific days they were on, but intramurals were a big part of high school activities. You teamed up and played different sports. In my case, we would play basketball because I was pretty active for the most part. I did wrestle halfway through my sophomore year. I wrestled as a freshman and lettered, and I'll talk more about that when I get to the episode that I'm going to go down the road on my athletic journey when I was in high school, and then even in college. I played football 1 year at Montana Tech in Butte. But my sophomore year, not so bad. Really, the biggest struggle I had was basically with Carson Harstead in that biology class. I just about the only thing I enjoyed there was when we dissected animals and frogs, crickets. Maybe it wasn't crickets; it was grasshoppers. That was something of interest to me. Carson, I'll tell you, was so boring, and one of the reasons is this is a teacher that had the textbook memorized by page number, which side of the book it was on, which column it was, what paragraph it was, and the sentence number. So, somebody that would have that book memorized, you could tell that he used the same text over and over again, and it was the same boring material year in and year out. And I suppose you kind of had to be a pet or take a liking to it. I just that's part of that rebellion era that I had, and he just happened to be a part of that time. Looking back on it, they say you don't look up a dead horse's rear because it's dead and it's already been done. But if I did it again, maybe I would have tried harder and maybe I would have done what I needed to do. But really, I just didn't really study for a whole lot of tests. Didn't really care about the class. I did just enough to get by, and I got a D, and that was good enough for me. But looking on my career moving forward, really it was probably the least effort that I put into school and my education. PE was a good year. Had some good activities. Some good sections. Loved playing football. We wrestled. Again, we had softball units. I think we played a little bit of volleyball. Spanish was a lot more successful. Never had a problem with math. Tom Green was probably one of the better math teachers. Was able to break it down to your level. He really was a student-oriented teacher and seemed to be able to hit those learning styles of his students. Did have some struggles with Ag to Wire and English, but again, that was the accelerated class of sophomores. Other sophomores took English from Penny Nelson, Gene Nelson's wife. She taught sophomore classes, and I think she also taught a little bit of art. And that pretty much is my sophomore year. I made that through okay. Would have been a higher GPA if it had not been for that little bout of biology with Carson Harstead. So I think that's where we're going to end today with that sophomore year. Next session on Sunday will be my junior year. A little bit more fun, a little bit better times through high school. Certainly some tales there as well. And with that, this is Coffee with Cody signing out.